All right, so, yeah, this is not the same. So if I had this times this, because you're multiplying, yeah, you could distribute the 2 through kind of, right? Like, so this would be the same as saying like the square root of 2 squared times the square root of 5 squared. You could do that. But really, where does that come from? That comes from if I said the square root of 2 times the square root of 5, right? What I'm really doing is I'm taking this and I'm going to square it. Everything in the parentheses. In other words, I'm going to take the parentheses and push it through or multiply it by itself 2 times, right? That's where that shortcut comes from. But this one over here, what I'm really doing is I'm saying the square root of 2 plus the square root of 5 times what? Itself. The square root of 2 plus the square root of 5. So now the thing about that is that plus sign, I've got to distribute it through. In other words, I got to draw and do the grid thing. So I'm going to take and I'm going to just distribute it this way by saying the square root of 2 plus the square root of 5 times the square root of 2 plus the square root of 5. Now remember, the property of this is that I can multiply the numbers under the square root. In other words, what's 2 times 2? So I could say the square root of 4. But what's the square root of 4 equal? 2. Now what's 5 times 2? The square root of 10. Now it's a plus 10. What's 2 times 5? 10 again. So that's the square root of 10 again. And then what is the square root of 5 times the square root of 5? Well, it's actually the square root of 25, but it equals 5, right? So now here, we kind of like combine like terms in the sense that we add the numbers. I have a 2 and a 5. They're both positive. So I add those up, and they're 7. Then, if I have 1 square root of 10 plus another square root of 10, how many square root of 10s do I have? 2. So that's our final answer. Does that make sense? What's 2 plus 5? Does that make sense? Now the actual questions on the test might be a little easier than this, but I wanted to give you some harder ones, and then if you feel comfortable doing these, then you'll do really well on the test.